Michael.
What's up? Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. As on today's episode of the Prime, we're going to be giving you our week number 13 fantasy football rankings. I'm, of course, your host, David Helping right there, CEO Israel Rivera. Welcome to the show, my friend. Happy Thursday, my friend. And we got about an hour before the kickoff of Thursday Night Football. We got the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. Take it on the field there in about an hour there in Dallas. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. Man. Usually we do this on Wednesdays. I actually like it doing it on a Thursday just before kickoff or whatever the case is. Kind of gives guys some angst on doing some last minute changes for the lineups.
I'm going to be doing some last minute changes right after we get done with this show, so I understand how that goes. I was at a concert last night, so I was unable to go in that show, so we had to move it to today. Also, shout out to myself. Was 2-0 against you this week. Beat you in fantasy football and fantasy basketball. And man, I doorstepped you in fantasy football.
Oh yeah. No, you definitely predicted beating the shit out of me in fantasy football. Fantasy basketball, though, man, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I was like 2 points away from beating this guy. So don't let him think that he just doorstepped me in fantasy basketball, because my team is pretty damn good this season. I think I got a chance to go all the way.
That was my first time ever. That was my first win of the year. Was against you.
It was against me, and I had probably one of the best teams in our league. So, man, hey, he won by a slim margin. So, kudos to him.
All that matters is I won. Let's jump right into fantasy football. Let's talk about them quarterbacks. We got the same guy at number 1, Tua Tagovailoa, going up against the Miami Dolphins. Should have a massive game. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes, going up against your Green Bay Packers. Yeah, I think he's going to have a good game. I think that secondary in Green Bay can be had, especially if Zaire Alexander does not play in this game. I'm not sure what his status is. I know he's been out for a hot minute. Maybe you can inform people a little bit more what his status is on this game. Number 3, Dak Prescott, starting in about an hour. He's been incredible, to put it short. 4, Justin Herbert. 5, Jalen Hurts, a little bit lower on him than you are. But I think that San Francisco defense is going to be tough. I do expect that game to be high scoring, so I don't know. 6, Trevor Lawrence. 7, Brock Purdy. 8, CJ Stroud. I love what I've seen on him so far this season. He basically cost Frank Wright his job, how good he's been. 9, Russell Wilson. 10, Sam Howell. And then my outside looking in, I got Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett. Yeah, Kenny Pickett. Yeah, he threw for over 300 yards. I know he didn't get the touchdown in that Pittsburgh game, but they're going up against a bad defense in Arizona. Kenny Pickett could have some value there. And number 3, Jordan Love. I think he's going to crack through that Kansas City defense a little bit there. Then my sneaky dailies, Kenny Pickett at 5,100. Really cheap guy at daily. I think he's going to have some value this week.
Man. Kenny Pickett going up against, is it the
going against the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. Yep. So I like Kenny Pickett what he did last week. Especially without Matt Canada. Looks like the offense is a little bit more spread out, more wide open. I mean, it was the first time the offense went over
400 yards. And
when
last time the Pittsburgh Steelers had over 400 yards of offense, Donald Trump was still president.
Well, yeah. Matt Canada. Matt Canada, I don't know if he was the problem, but it looks like they were a little bit reinvigorated with the new OC there. So, yeah, man, and number 1 for me, Tua Tagovailoa. He's got a great matchup this week going up against
Washington Commanders have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I mean, look what they did. Let Dak Prescott get up on them. 4 touchdowns. Look for Tua to have similar stats when this game is over. Similar
stats, yeah. Number 2, Jalen Hurts. It doesn't matter if San Francisco is the defense. He has so much value, especially at the 1-yard line. They get to the 1-yard line, even the 2-yard line. You know that they're doing the tush push. So he's at least good for a rushing touchdown and a couple passing touchdowns. I mean, that offense goes and revolves around what Jalen Hurts literally does. He is the offense for the Philadelphia Eagles. At number 3, Dak Prescott tonight. Yeah, they're going against Seattle. Even though I know Seattle is much improved defense, that offense is just too talented. I mean, the last game against Washington, albeit it's Washington, he threw 5 touchdowns to 5 different guys, I think, in that game. So on Thanksgiving. So and you have the oh no, it's not a long week. God, it's Thursday to Thursday. But Dak Prescott against Seattle is going to be looking good. Trevor Lawrence at number 4 had himself last couple of weeks. Trevor Lawrence has looked good. So I like Trevor Lawrence against Cincinnati, against a team that a defense is probably going to be tired. At number 5, Patrick Mahomes against my Green Bay Packers. But I will say this. If there's anything that's healthy on the Green Bay Packers, it's that defensive front 7. In the last couple of weeks, they have, turned teams over. They have gotten to the quarterback. Rashawn Gary got 3 sacks, a forced fumble. Their unit has been really attacking offensive lines the last couple of weeks. And then, they might be getting Jair Alexander back. They might be getting Devontae Campbell back.
There's been no update on his status whatsoever in 20 days on Alexander's injury status, like news ESPN wise. So I don't think he's going to play.
Questionable. He's questionable. So I'm gonna be on the fringe. I gotta look at if he's been practicing or not. And
he was a limited participant. He was a limited participant in practice yesterday. So
that's good news, David. God dang it, he was a limited participant. That's great news, actually. And then honestly, the one thing about Patrick Mahomes is just his offense. I mean, his wide receiver core has the most drops in the NFL. And I mean, they're really, heavily revolved around Travis Kelce. And then, honestly, in the run game it's kind of been spotty as well. So, this has probably been the worst offense that he's had since he's been a Chief. At number 6, I got Justin Herbert. Number 7, Kyler Murray. 8, Brock Purdy, sliding all the way down to number 8. I know he's had, I think, last week he was damn near perfect. But against that Philly defense, I don't expect him to be perfect. It's number 9. I got CJ Stroud going up against Denver. Yeah, he's at number 9 because he's going against a defense that's been hot of late. They've won 5 in a row. They've been pretty good. And CJ Stroud has been, turning the ball over of recent. I think he's got 4 interceptions in his last 2 games.
Bryce, real quick, YouTube comment. I see your question, and we will get to it as soon as he's done with his rankings.
Yeah, and then rounding out my top 10 is Jared Goff. I expect Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff has how many interceptions, Dave, in the last 2 games? Is it 6?
Well, I mean, he's responsible for 6 total turnovers in the last 2 games. I think he had 3 fumbles against the Packers. He had 4 interceptions against the Bears, or 3 interceptions. So
Jesus Christ. Going up against New Orleans, I expect him to have a bounce back game. On the outside looking in, Sam Howell, who has the defense, they're just down all the time, so he's throwing it a ton. So he has a lot of value there. Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield going up against the Carolina Panthers. And then if you're looking for a cheap option in FanDuel, I'll go with Gardner Minshew at 6,800 going up against Tennessee.
I like the Gardner Minshew. His rushing talent kind of keeps his value high. Looking back over to our YouTube question, we got Bryce Ridley there on YouTube. Also, thank you, Oli Cruz, there on Facebook. But he asked Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes into this week. Would you go Dak or Mahomes?
Oh, I'm going Dak 1,000%. Dak Prescott 1,000%. There's no.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I know I had Patrick Mahomes higher in my rankings, but now I'm thinking about it, I would probably go Dak Prescott. But I think you're in a situation where I don't think you can go wrong. I think both those guys should have good games. You're looking at 20 plus points from either of those guys, no matter who you start. But yeah, I would go Dak Prescott.
Hopefully, Patrick Mahomes 20 points comes with a loss.
Yeah, I doubt it.
You doubt it.
I do doubt it. I don't want Packers to make the playoffs. I hate them so much. Moving on from our quarterback rankings, let's swing into our running backs. I'll let you go first with your running back rankings.
Yeah, number 1, Travis Etienne. I know he's had a pretty I wouldn't say average weeks for him. He's kind of 2 weeks. He started off hot in like the last couple weeks. He's been kind of leveled out a little bit, but I expect him against Cincinnati to have a big game, get him more involved into the offense. So I like him,
especially a game where you expect Jacksonville to be up by a considerable amount, right? And they basically just run the ball later in the game. We know Joe Burrow. I just don't expect it to be a potent offense in Cincinnati.
Yeah, just the last 2 weeks. I don't think they, last week against Houston, they didn't really, need them as much. And Houston did a good job at.
Well, on top of that, Trevor Lawrence hawked 2 touchdowns from him.
Yeah. So in the red zone. And then at number 2, I got Alvin Kamara going up against Detroit. That defense, started off good in the season, but of recent late, running backs have been able to get off on them. Chicago, they had a touchdown, and also the wide receiver. So, Alvin Kamara is, big in the passing game. At number 3, Austin Eckler. At number 4, Christian McCaffrey going up against Philly. Man, I do expect him to keep the touchdown streak alive. At number 5,
the touchdown streak was already snapped a few weeks ago, but
it was snapped a few weeks ago. Yeah, so I expect him to continue to cut his new touchdown streak. Tony Pollard at number 5. At number 6, I got Derrick Henry. At number 7, Rashad White. 8, Raheem Mostert. Yes, Raheem Mostert going up against Washington. I expect Raheem Mostert to have a top 10 day. But I do think Devin Achane is probably. I don't know if Devin Achane is playing, and I know Raheem Mostert has been questionable of late. So.
Yeah, he's questionable right now, but he was questionable going into this game last week. I don't think it means nothing.
Yeah, so I think he'll be okay. At number 9, I got Kyron Williams, who's been running the football great of late. Going up against a stud defense in Cleveland, but I think they'll be tired. I think PJ Williams will get the start in that
Devon
game.
Achane, he practices limited capacity today.
I got him starting in the lineup. So he's kind of dated. So on Saturday, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that early on Sunday about Devin Achane. If he does play against Washington, expect Devin Achane and Raheem Mostert to have some a good game regardless.
If Devin Achane does not go, I would have Jeff Wilson, like if he's available in your league, I'd pick him up and have him as like a handcuff.
Yeah, especially if neither one of those guys can go.
Yeah, for sure. 100% in that scenario.
Top 10, right now my top 10, Bijan Robinson. I'm outside looking in. Ramondre Stevenson, Isaiah Pacheco, and Jahmyr Gibbs. And if you're looking for a cheap option in FanDuel, look at Samaje Perine at 5,700 for the Denver Broncos.
Back-to-back weeks with a touchdown for the Denver Broncos. Has clearly become the passing down back there for Denver. From your rankings, let's talk about mine. Sorry. Number 1, I got Alvin Kamara. I just think that he's going to have a good game in a losing effort against the New Orleans Saints. I think they're going to use him in the passing game, especially since it doesn't seem like Chris Olave is going to play. Michael Thomas is already on IR. Look for him to be even more involved in the passing game than even before. And my number 2, I got Isaiah Pacheco at number 2 going up against, the Green Bay Packers, who have notoriously been not great against the run, over the course of their history. Isaiah Pacheco could have a monster game here. 3, Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I think he's going to continue to get in the end zone against the Philadelphia Eagles. He's just so valuable, especially in PPR. Travis Etienne at number 4. 5, King Henry going up against the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's a good game for him. 6, Tony Pollard. That game's starting in about an hour. 7, Raheem Mostert. 8, Ramondre Stevenson. The Chargers can be absolutely had on the ground and in the air. Let's be real. But Ramondre Stevenson has been the lone bright spot, especially over the last few weeks for the New England Patriots, as they've really stunk over the last few weeks. And Kyrie Williams, first game back off of that IR. For him, he had over almost 200 all-purpose yards for the Los Angeles Rams. I think he will be limited by that defense in Cleveland, as good as it is. But I would plug and play him for sure. And number 10, I got Bijan Robinson. Yeah, a little bit lower, but that Jets defense is still pretty solid going up against the Atlanta Falcons. And then my outside looking in, I got Jahmyr Gibbs, Austin Eckler, who I'm way down on. I just don't really love the way the Chargers are running the football as a whole. Unless he's involved in the passing game, I really don't think he has any value whatsoever. 3, Rashad White has been sneakily really good this season. Look for him to continue his value. And then my sneaky and daily, I got Samaje Perine at 4,800. And for some reason, DraftKings has still not updated their Zach Moss status. He's at 4,600. That is stupid cheap with Jonathan Taylor no longer being in the lineup, at least for the next 2 weeks. Zach Moss at 4,600.
I like Zach Moss. Is it the Los Angeles Rams there? No, that's not Los Angeles. That's
Zach Moss
that's
plays for the Colts.
the Colts.
They're going up.
Colts.
He's with Jonathan Taylor now being out for a couple of weeks. Zach Moss is the number one running back again, and when he was the number one running back for the Colts, he was pretty productive. At 4,600 for a guy who's probably going to get the bulk of the carries in against Tennessee, that's pretty good value.
Absolutely.
From those rock toters, let's talk about them pass catchers. Let's talk about them wide receivers. And yeah, I got Tyreek Hill at number one going up against the Washington Commanders, one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. Their defense was so bad last week, it cost Jack Del Rio his job. Probably it was going to be costing what's his name? Riverboat Ron, his job as well when the season is all said and done. 2 CeeDee Lamb, 3 Mike Evans, 4 Keenan Allen. The volume for Keenan Allen has just been insane this season. 5 Calvin Ridley. Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars realize when we get Calvin Ridley involved in our passing game early and often, good things happen. 6 Michael Pittman Jr. I might be way too high on him, but I just like the rapport he seems to have with Gardner Minshew. 7 A.J. Brown. I'm also probably too low on A.J. Brown, but he's not been that good the last couple weeks. The targets haven't really been there. I know he's got in the end zone last week against Buffalo, but he's coming off 2 kind of MAC games. 8, the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I still think that New Orleans Saints defense is pretty solid. And number 9, Tank Dell. He's shattering like rookie wide receiver records. Look for him to continue to play well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 10, Deebo Samuel. And then number 11, I'm always effing open Jamar Chase. 2, Terry, Scary, McLaurin, and Rashid Rice, actually, in my outside looking in, especially if Jair Alexander does not go. He's become wide receiver 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's just been good this season as a rookie. And then my sneaky daily, A.T. Perry at 3,300 for the New Orleans Saints. As I mentioned earlier in the show, no Chris Olave, no Michael Thomas. A.T. Perry automatically becomes wide receiver 1. Look for him to have some value. And then Trey Palmer, 3,200 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you're the Carolina, you got to limit Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Trey Palmer's been heavily involved in the passing game over the last few weeks, so I think he has a roll of the dice on him as well.
Trey Palmer, you said that's godly. I am not gonna lie. You said Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
you said no. That's not Tampa Bay. It's Carolina.
No, Trey Palmer is wide receiver. He plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. I do not know who the hell Trey Palmer is. So you just pulled out a rabbit out your ass over there, and I have to get put on Trey Palmer.
6th-round pick, 190. He was a 6th-round pick this year. He's 6 foot. He went to Nebraska. He transferred out of LSU. He's been solid this season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So.
I do not just like how when I pull out some rabbits out of my head, I don't even know who the hell Trey Palmer is. Anyways, my number 1's Tyreek Hill. At number 2, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, he's in my top 2. Finally, had him in my top 5 for the longest of time. At number 3, I got Keenan Allen. Yeah, Keenan Allen has been off the Richter scale the last couple weeks. I mean, he has just been on fire despite losing efforts. At number 4, I got CeeDee Lamb, who's been on fire as well. At number 5, Mike Evans, who had 2 touchdowns last week in his game. At number 6, I got Brandon Ayuk going up against Philly. Don't know. Debo's a little questionable, but I like Brandon Ayuk still as that big threat downfield. Number 7, I like Jalen Waddle, who had a lot of value. The only thing Jalen Waddle didn't get last week was a touchdown for the Miami Dolphins. Number 8, I got Tank Dell. Yeah, Tank Dell has been really damn good this year. And I mean, there's a few guys, him, Nico Collins, Noah Brown. Whenever Noah Brown's healthy, the Houston Texans have been on fire. Dalton Schultz. That offense has been really potent, but Tank Dell looks to be the real deal out of the University of Houston, baby. Shout out to the Cougars. At number 9, A.J. Brown. Him and Devontae Smith are a little banged up going into this game against San Francisco. He's really low just because of the fact look, Charvarius Ward had a hell of a game on DK Metcalf last week. And I expect Charvarius Ward to be on A.J. Brown majority of this week. So A.J. Brown is a little lower on my rankings in the top 10. And then I got Michael Pittman rounding out the top 10. And outside looking in, I like Deebo Samuel, who has, value as a runner. But he's a little banged up as well. No surprise there. Calvin Ridley and Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you're looking for a cheap option in FanDuel, I like Cedric Tillman from the Washington Commanders.
I thought Cedric Tillman played for the Browns.
The Browns, Cleveland Browns. My bad. 4 out of 5 targets. 4 out of 5 targets last week.
Amari Cooper also banged up a little bit. So
the one thing about Cedric Tillman, sorry about that. Thanks, David. The one thing about Cedric Tillman is that he did have a nice little rapport with DTR, who went out with that concussion. And he only got 1 target thrown his way from PJ Walker. So that is something to look out for. But if DTR is a go, which I'm not sure if he is, Cedric Tillman might be a nice little roll of the dice there.
Moving on from your wide receivers, let's talk about your other pass catchers, them tight ends, and let's go with number 1, who's probably going to be the number 1 until the end of time. I like how you got the same 4 guys at 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's interesting.
No, Travis Kelce at number 1. Yeah, going up against Green Bay. Like Travis Kelce there. At number 2, I got Sam Laporta going up against New Orleans. At number 3, George Kittle. 4, Evan Ingram going up against Cincinnati. Man, Evan Ingram's definitely a top 5 tight end. He's been consistent as they come all year. And I mean, he gives you everything you want. Gives you the volume, the yards, and Trevor Lawrence looks his way. He's definitely a safety valve for him. Trey McBride at number 5. Ever since Kyler Murray's came back, Trey McBride has been one of the top targets, probably the top target for Kyler Murray. At number 6, David Njoku. Despite whoever the quarterback is, David Njoku is getting a high volume of targets there. He's trending up. At number 7, we got Taysom Hill. 8, Pat Freiermuth, who had a pretty, I believe in it, he had a pretty damn
10 catches for 120 yards in this. 10 catches for 120 yards last week.
Yeah, he was pretty. It was 9 catches, 120 yards, 11 targets. Dalton Schultz. It's kind of cooled off a little bit, but he's still in my top 10. And then Cade Otton this week going up against Carolina. I like Cade Otton to possibly get into the end zone this week. And I'm outside looking at Jake Ferguson, Logan Thomas, and Gerald Everett, who caught a touchdown pass last week for the Los Angeles Chargers. And then my sneaky option.
He got a touchdown pass last week, and then he did the Ray Lewis dance while they were losing by 20 points. Come on.
Such a Joe. What a great move by Gerald Everett. Yeah. Come on. Continue to get smacked. That game was a really big blow, especially that Trey Flowers, that touchdown that Trey Flowers ran to the end zone last week. Really killed me in my matchup against AJ in that in the one league that we're in. It just took me out. And then my cheap option in FanDuel is Tucker Kraft at 4,800. He got a touchdown pass last week. I predicted him to get a touchdown pass against Detroit last week. So Tucker Kraft, who's pretty much the number 1 tight end for the Green Bay Packers with Luke Musgrave out. He's the other rookie that they drafted as well this year. So I think Josiah DeGore is the other guy behind him. So reps.
Moving on from your tight ends, let's talk about mine. Yeah, number 1, 2, 3, 4, all the same. Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, George Kittle, Evan Ingram, and then 5, Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz. I still believe in him. I know he's been a little bit cooler off the last couple of weeks, but I think he still has some good value there. His former teammate Jake Ferguson is number 6. He seems to have a really good rapport there with Dak Prescott. 7, Pat Freiermuth. I think with this new offensive coordinator, look for him to be more involved in the offense. 8, Trey McBride. 9, Taysom Hill, especially with those other wide receivers out. Look for Taysom Hill to be more involved in that passing attack for the New Orleans Saints and in the running game as well. David Njoku, has been pretty consistent so far this season. Harrison Bryant is also somebody to look out for, as he did get a touchdown last week. And then my outside looking in, Logan Thomas is finally staying healthy for an entire season, knock on wood. But he's been pretty solid for this this year. Gerald Everett, and then number 3, it's hard to see this, but come on the outside looking in. But Kyle Pitts just hasn't lived up to the draft where he was drafted in any kind of stretch of the imagination. It's kind of been a really not a great season for him. As this offense for the Falcons has really not developed. It's sad to see.
No quarterback, man. Come on. I mean,
no
quarterback. What do you expect? Everybody there isn't, Drake London is supposed to take a step up. And he's a talented guy too that, probably should be in our top 10 rankings this season as well. But, no quarterback in Atlanta. And until they get a franchise quarterback there, Kyle Pitts is continue to be inconsistent. Drake London is going to continue to be inconsistent. Bijan Robinson has been their only consistent weapon, just because of the fact that he's that home run hitter out the backfield. But he's had some inconsistent weeks due to the inability of them being able to stretch the ball downfield. So
and then my sneaky daily is
the problem. So.
Adam Troutman, 2,900, tight end out of Denver. Caught a really nice touchdown last week. So he has, maybe he can rebuild on that with Russell Wilson there. If you're looking for an absolute home run throw, Adam Troutman's kind of somebody I would roll the dice on. Moving on from the tight ends, let's talk about them defenses. And I got the Miami Dolphins at number 1 going up against the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell will throw for a lot of yards, but he also turns the ball over a ton. So look for that Dolphin defense to capitalize on those opportunities. Dallas Cowboys going up against the Seattle Seahawks here in about 20 minutes. That's a good matchup for that defense, as they've just been incredible this year. 3, the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, you're a little bit higher than the Falcons than I am. That's a little shocking. But yeah, going up against the New York Jets. Tim Boyle, I talked about this on the last 2 shows. He's just not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's just not. The fact that he's barely a backup quarterback in the NFL. Like, if you look at his college numbers, how he got in the NFL is beyond me. 4 Kansas City Chiefs, that defense has been really stout, going up against your Green Bay Packers. 5, the Chargers, going up against the New England Patriots, who've been prone to turn over the football. And the Chargers, low-key, have gotten really some consistent pressure under the quarterback. Look for them to play well there. And then my outside looking in, they got the Jets going up against the Atlanta Falcons. That offense is just not good for Atlanta either. And this is a very good Jets defense. They probably were going to have the only touchdown for that team. The Jets defense will this week. 2 Cleveland Browns going up against Denver. They've been pretty inconsistent, the Denver Broncos, on offense. This is an elite Cleveland Browns defense. And then they got the Rams. They're going up against the Arizona Cardinals, I think, and Kyler Murray. I don't know. Don't quote me. Hold on a second. I have to look that up. I did these earlier today before I so look that up real quick. Yeah, they're going up against the Cleveland Browns.
Totally.
Going up against the Rams, DT.
Go ahead.
DTR and the Cleveland Browns, the Los Angeles Rams. And then my sneaky daily is the Atlanta Falcons at 3,400 for all the reasons I said with that Jets offense and Tim Boyle.
No, I was gonna say I am totally shocked that I even have the I know the Pittsburgh Steelers are a good defense, but I think Kyler Murray might be able. I might be wrong on having them in my top 5, to be honest with you, because I think Arizona. I think Kyler Murray is going to be able to put up some yards on them. I'm just and I think he'll be able to get in the end zone a couple times. I think he'll keep it close. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think they'll turn him over as much as I think they would. I'm just a little kind of on the fringe with them that's why I have them at number 5. But number 1, I got the Dallas Cowboys. At number 2, I got the Atlanta Falcons, and I actually trust the Atlanta Falcons this week more than I do the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Arizona Jets, and that's the reason why. The backup quarterback, like David said, Tim Boyle. At number 3, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars going up against another backup quarterback in Cincinnati and Jake Brown. And at number 4, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going against a rookie quarterback. See, this is a trend here. Poor quarterback play from all these defenses. Going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going up against the Carolina Panthers. And then at number 5, and then a new head coach, right? And then at number 5, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I was just talking about them. I see them trending down a little bit just because I start to think man, Kyler Murray might have a pretty good game against that defense as aggressive as they are. I think he'll be able to get out the pocket. I think he'll be able to get a couple touchdowns. I think they'll keep it close against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. But I still have them in my top 5 just because they have those home run hitters on the edge. And then I'm outside looking in. I got the Los Angeles Chargers going up against whoever the hell's at quarterback. Again, here's a trend. Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones. I think it's going to be Bailey Zappi moving forward. Now for the New England Patriots,
it doesn't matter. They're
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
They have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Like that's not a good measure when you got Khalil Mack, who has 10 plus sacks already this season.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then the Detroit Lions going up against New Orleans, another team with kind of who we expect to have better quarterback play. You have a lot of New Orleans Saints faithful that are rooting to have that want Jameis Winston out there instead of Derek Carr. And then the Los Angeles Rams going up against another team with bad quarterback play. That you're going to get either PJ Brown or DTR, a rookie quarterback. Neither one are great options to start. I wouldn't start neither one if you are looking to start a quarterback. And I just think that the Los Angeles Rams are going to feast on whoever is quarterback. And that's my cheap option in FanDuel at 3,700 is the Los Angeles Rams going up against Cleveland and whoever is going to start for Cleveland. Yeah.
And then before we get up out of here, as we do every single week, we will try to predict who will be the number one scorer in fantasy. Last week, Josh Allen was the number one scorer in fantasy at 39.66 points. Do you know who number 2 was?
No, I do not.
Kyren Williams with 204 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns at 38.4. There were 6 guys last week who had over 30 points, including CJ Stroud. But when it's all said and done, who will be the number one scorer in fantasy this week?
Oh man, that is Jalen Hurts was one of them that had 30 points, over 30 points.
Yep. Josh Allen, Kyren Williams, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, and CJ Stroud.
Whew. Yeah. It's not going to be a running back, I'll tell you that, or a wide receiver. I'm going to stick with the quarterbacks, man. I'm actually going to go with I'll go with Tua Tagovailoa, man. My number one quarterback for this week, going up against Washington. I think he'll have a big game. I don't think 700 yards is in the books, but I think
700 yards passing.
Yards. No, 700 yards of total offense for the Miami Dolphins. I was like, or whatever, 70 points. What was it? 70 points. 70 points. It was 70.
70 steamer.
70 steamer. But how many yards did they have that game?
I don't know. It was
against the Denver Broncos. It was up there. I could see 400. I could see 350 yards passing, 3 touchdowns.
I mean, they're averaging. They're averaging over 430 yards of offense every game.
Yeah, I could see probably 550 yards of total offense for the Miami Dolphins this week.
I'm gonna go. I'm a hater, so I'm gonna go with Isaiah Pacheco. Will be the number one scoring in fantasy when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, Isaiah Pacheco will have over 100 yards rushing, and he'll have 3 rushing touchdowns, all-purpose touchdowns, either in the air or on the ground. Isaiah Pacheco is the number one scorer in fantasy, in my opinion. And I may be a hater, so just deal with it.
Absolutely not. And or you know what? I'll stick with Miami. Tyreek Hill could be a close number 2 for me. This week. So,
I was going to say Tua Tagovailoa, but you took my Tua Tagovailoa. I was going to take that, but yeah, I'm going to go Isaiah Pacheco will be the number one scorer in fantasy when it's all said and done. But yeah, I'm David Huffman right there. It's Israel Rivera. Thank you very much for checking us out here at Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe. Izzy, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
Man, we bring the heat, man. I am ready to go watch some NBA basketball right now. And you ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a great night. I'm sorry if I was a little unfocused today. I just kind of on a roll right now, man. Just catching all these games and these parlays. I'm winning some big money these past few weeks. So
he's winning a lot of jelly beans. Is what he's saying.
Fantasy shows.
Welcome to the Fantasy Show. The crossover will return on Saturday afternoon, so don't miss out on that content. We're going to be talking about contenders and pretenders. We're going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls. You don't want to miss any of that content. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you all. And you have safe. Enjoy the game tonight. Peace out, brother.
Talk about the Chicago Bulls, man.